Okay. So, hey there, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Hey, Raven.
Hello,
How,
hi.
how you doing?
I am well, and yourself?
Good. I'm all right. No complaints. No complaints at all. So thank you for joining. I really appreciate you for joining. And so we're gonna go ahead and actually go into talking about emotional intelligence. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
And we're going to go from here. So, for those of you who don't know me and who have never had any type of dealings with me, I'm Luana Harris, and my purpose, as you can see on here, is to enlighten, encourage, and empower others to live to their fullest potential through personal and professional development. So, a lot of the things that I do, it is tied to that purpose. Everything that I do, whether it's any type of inspirational speaking, any type of training. It's everything that's tied. I'm either enlightening you, always encouraging you, and definitely always empowering you to live to the fullest potential that you have. When I say personal development, that is more so maybe that emotional intelligence, maybe the spiritual, the enlightenment, the inspirational speaking, but also on the professional side and the professional development, that is also something like emotional intelligence. But it's also those skills that can help you maybe do your job better, that are the skills that can maybe help you deal with other people, or maybe even those skills in trying to get a promotion. So that could be maybe leadership skills, that could be speaking skills, presentation skills. So when I say personal and professional development, that covers a lot of different areas. So you can reach out to me at any time to make, maybe we can get something for you, custom made, custom presentation for your team, your group, just for you personally. We can do that as well. So if you all don't know, a lot of my background is I have an undergrad degree in criminal justice, and then my master's degree in human relations and organizational studies, focusing in organizational studies. A lot of the training that I've had was conflict training, diversity training, leadership development, teamwork. So a lot of these different training sessions. If you're thinking, okay, well, you know what qualifies her to talk about this stuff? Well, I have a whole lot of stuff, and my bio has a lot of different skills and different things that I actually do. And so that's just how I operate. But we are talking about emotional intelligence today. And Raven, if you want to say a little bit just about what you do and where you are right now.
Sure, sure. So, Raven Crawford, I actually worked with Luana a while back, so I'm happy to be reacquainted with her. Right now, I work for Tulsa Community College as a civil rights investigator. So there are some challenges that come with that. I am just appreciative of this opportunity to tune in. I know Luana is an awesome facilitator, and I'm trying to pick up tools that I can take back to my workplace for some of our training and development opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, thank you for joining. And those of you who are watching the replay or watching the recording, thank you for watching as well. So, talking about emotional intelligence, why is EQ, or so when I say emotional intelligence or EQ, I'm talking about the exact same thing. So, it's the emotional quotient. If you think of your IQ, the intelligent quotient. So, when I say EQ, emotional intelligence, I'm talking about the same thing. So why is learning that skill of emotional intelligence or EQ? Because 90% of top performers are high in emotional intelligence. When you think of high performers, they are able to manage their emotions, and we're going to talk about the definition of that in just a minute. But they are able to manage their emotions in the moment. They're able to perform better. And so people that are high performers, they are very high in emotional intelligence. And actually, another perspective is emotional intelligence, or EQ, is responsible for over 50% of your job. So about 58% of job performance is tied to emotional intelligence. However, only 36% of us really can accurately identify our emotions in the moment. So that means that we have a little bit of work to do, because less than half people, half of our workers are able to accurately identify their emotions. And so if emotional intelligence is important to be a high performer, then this is definitely a skill that we need to have. Another key point is that anybody, anyone, you, me, anyone can increase your IQ or your EQ with practice. So you're going to have to definitely get out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to place yourself in those positions and situations where you can grow in this particular area. So just want to kind of throw that out there as well. So what we are actually the objectives for today are to increase your knowledge and your self-awareness. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to increase how, your understanding, and anything that you're trying to change. It starts with self-awareness. If you are not aware of how you behave or how you are acting or how you're coming off to people, then you cannot modify your behavior. I'm also going to provide you ways to improve those skills. Again, we're going to talk about a few of those ways that we can do that. And then I'm going to give you some actionable items and different resources to help further your development in these particular areas. Okay, so thinking of the emotional intelligence definition, what do you think of, or what do you think that definition of emotional intelligence is? So Raven, what do you think the definition is?
I'll tell you what I think it means to me.
Yeah, that's
Now,
fine.
I'm
Absolutely.
pretty maybe off on the definition, but just how you manage your emotions in different situations, I think is emotional intelligence, just
Yeah,
to have that awareness of how you're reacting um,
absolutely.
to certain situations.
Yeah, and and you're right on point. So the definition that we have is the ability to be aware of and name your emotions in the moment, be attuned to the emotional state of others in the moment, and use that information to manage the relationship effectively. So there are three words that are very important. So what do you think those three words are?
Are in there in this definition. I see
Uh-huh.
emotion. No.
So it's a small little phrase that's said, that's mentioned a couple of times. That's really important.
You tell me.
In the moment.
In the moment.
In the moment,
Good.
yes.
It's
So it's
repeated.
the
In the
ability,
moment.
yes, ma'am. So the ability to be aware of and name your emotions in the moment, and
Okay.
be attuned to the emotional state of others in the moment. Because a lot of times what happens is we don't have to, if we're sitting on the couch or if we're just at home watching TV, we don't really need emotional intelligence, right? It's when we get into those stressful situations, those conflict conversations, those what we call courageous conversations, when we really need to be attuned to our emotions in the moment. So again, as it says at the very bottom, that we can manage those relationships effectively, whether it is a family relationship, whether it's a professional relationship, even whether it's a romantic relationship, friendships, whatever it is. We want to make sure that we are managing our emotions and really thinking about what are we doing and what are we feeling in the moment, so that we can make sure that we are managing those relationships. So the information that we are that I'm talking about, it is coming from this book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and it's by Travis Bradbury and Gene Graves, and they actually really break down emotional intelligence even more. And if you purchase the book, and I'm not getting paid off of the promoting the book or anything, but if you do purchase the book, there is a code in there that you can go to their website and you can take a deeper dive into emotional intelligence, and you'll have access to a lot of different resources that they have. So again, this is really just kind of reiterating what we talked about a little bit. EQ is so critical that to success, that accounts for 58% of your performance in all types of jobs. So it's not just in HR, it's just not in the criminal justice field, it's just not in education. This is across the board. It's the single biggest predictor of performance in the workplace and the strongest driver of leadership and personal excellence. So if you have ever been in a position where you see people, leaders, they're leading people, like they're managers, supervisors, and they're actually not good people leaders. So these are the people that have direct reports. These are the people that may have the technical skills, but they are not people leaders because they don't have very good emotional intelligence. So that's huge. And then you also have the 90% of high performers are also high in the EQ. So what does that say also about the 10% of those high performers? So even though they are high performing, they're still low in emotional intelligence. But these are the people that they may be in IT. These are the people that may not connect or have to connect with a lot of people on a consistent basis. These are people that maybe they sit alone and they're in their at their desk or something. So they really don't have a whole lot of connections with people. So it's not always saying that this is wrong, but they're high performers that are low in emotional intelligence. So when you think about the whole person, as you see yourself, we are not just one type of we're not made up of just one thing, right? We're very multi faceted. We are, if you think about what you see here, we have our EQ, which is our intelligent quotient, and that is basically the ability or how well you're able to gain information or learn information. And then we have our personality. The personality is just, it's grown how you experience things over life. And then of course we have our emotional intelligence, and this makes up the whole person. So it's not just saying, that the IQ is important. It's not just saying the EQ is important. But one of the things too that we do want to make sure is that probably going to reiterate that you can really increase all of these different things, as your EQ, your emotional intelligence. It changes over time as well. So when you're 15 years old, your emotional intelligence is going to be totally different from when you're 20, 25, 30. So why do you think that is? Why do you think that it increases with time?
Wow, maturity and experiences.
Absolutely right. Because there are things that, like when we were in our 20s, that, we would all get upset about. And now that we are older, we have children, we're working full time, like they say, don't cry over spilled milk. There's stuff that literally that kids have broken in my house that I'm just like, really? That's all I can say is just really. I mean, yeah. But early on, I probably would have been that that calm. But experience and definitely getting to a point where it's really not that important and it is okay, and that does go over time.
Right.
Okay, so breaking it down to improving our emotional intelligence. So as you can see on the screen, emotional intelligence is broken down into two big buckets, and then it's broken down into kind of the two of those particular two, right? So if you see first, it's awareness of what I see and management what I do. And then on the left-hand side, you see that it's broken down into the personal competence and the social competence. So the personal competence is basically how you are to yourself, like that, how you are connecting with yourself. Then the social competence is how are you connecting with people outside of yourself, the people that are around you, people that you work with, the people, as I said before, the people that you are in relationship with. And these are the four different components. And in order to increase your emotional intelligence, you have to understand each one of these different components so that you can make sure that you're managing them very well. So as I said before, the top two, they're pretty much basically that personal, and then the social competence is again, how are you connecting and relating to other people. So the personal competence, let's start in with the awareness, what I see, okay? When you're looking at the self-awareness, it is the ability to identify and understand your feelings and your tendencies. So this is all saying, this is that self-awareness piece. This is, the foundational skill. It's basically saying, how well do I connect with my personal feelings? What ticks me off? What is something that that irks me all the time? What is that thing that just hits my buttons? And so you're understanding what your feelings are, and you're understanding the tendencies that's going to get you there. So this is the ability to identify and understand your feelings and your tendencies. Now, also, this is where sometimes those unconscious bias comes in, because what happens is you can get to the point where you are feeling something, but it may not be exactly what's being presented. So, for example, if you are going at the grocery store and you are coming across the cashier who may appear like they have an attitude, or may appear like, they're kind of not giving you great customer service. I know we've all been there. I've been there. So our first instinct is to snap back and to say, what is wrong with you? What is really going on? But really, it's the self-awareness is stopping and saying, you know what? This is really making me upset. What's really going on? And then this will go into the self-management piece. So as I said before, remember, the personal competence is how you are relating to yourself. The self-management, this is the ability to adjust and direct your thoughts and actions. So now that you are self-aware, you're understanding how you are feeling, you are aware of your feelings, remember, in the moment, and now you have the ability to adjust and direct your thoughts and your actions. Our initial tendency is to think about things that may not be the right thing to say or the right thing to do. However, we can modify, when we're, again, self-aware, we can modify that so we can make sure that we are directing our thoughts and actions in a positive way. So this is, again, now that you're aware, with the same example with the cashier, now that you're aware of your tendencies, now you can say, you know what, hey, how are you doing? What's really going on? Are you having a great day? So you can adjust and direct your thoughts and actions in a positive way. So some of those strategies that you can do to be more more self-aware and self-management. So check yourself. Sometimes you have to revisit your values. A lot of times we don't think about those values all the time. We just get up and go. So sometimes, what do you value? Do you value those relationships? Get to know yourself under stress. Okay, what happens when you're stressful? Again, know who and what pushes your buttons. The self-management piece, breathe, sleep on it, smile and laugh more. And sometimes you can even make sure that you put a mental recharge in your schedule. I know it's hard, as sometimes as parents, and especially with the things that's going on right now. A lot of areas are not open, but they are reopening. So you may want to just maybe take a walk or some of those things. But these are a few strategies that can help you manage your self-awareness and your self-management. So when you're thinking of this, or looking at this list, what are some of the things that you feel like you can do more of?
I am so not tooting my horn, but I often approach most situations when you get like an unpredictable response from somebody or something that's not the norm. I literally tell myself they might be going through something, and this is not about me. Like, I'm the most unbothered person for reasons of I might be able to help somebody, or this may not benefit me to engage in something that could, go south.
Right. Well, you know what, and it's funny that you say that, because that may come from criminal justice training.
It does. A lot of it does.
I'm sure, because that's, right. That's what we're trained. It's like, how can you manage the situation? How can you not make it more chaotic than what it already is? And I think it's just the empathy piece and just being sympathetic and all of that. So I'm right along with you. So it's not hard for me to look at, man, this person may not be, maybe going through something else. And I say the same thing too, Raven. It's like, it's not always about me. It actually, you don't even know me, so I know it doesn't have anything to do with me.
Right. That's where I'm at. Majority.
Right. But not everybody has that skill, or not everyone has had the opportunities of the trainings and the situations that we've been in. So you have a lot of people, especially now with everything that's going on in our culture, in our communities. People, there are people that are angry, there are people that are just confused, and so this is something that I'm sure we can spread, and hopefully just train and teach to other people.
Mhm.
So this is huge. So I definitely get that.
Mhm.
So, as I said, the second part of that is the social competence piece. And so the social awareness is, again, what I see. And this is the ability to accurately pick up others' emotions and their perspectives. So when you're looking, again, going back to the example with the cashier, now that you have adjusted and directed your thoughts and actions based off of your ability to understand, now you're able to accurately pick up her or their emotions and their perspectives. So when you're asking them, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? This person is saying, you know what? I've been here 14 hours. I'm tired. I have kids at home, and so there are things now you're picking up on this person's emotions. This person is frustrated, or this person is extremely exhausted, and so that will help you kind of look at just really how you manage your emotions in the moment again. And this is going to this particular point. It's very important to actively listen. Not just listen, but actively listen. A lot of times when we're listening to people, we just kind of, okay, yeah, I got you. But when you're actively listening to people, you are reflecting what it is that they're saying. So it's kind of like a back and forth. You're actually listening, you're reflecting, you're repeating some of the things that they're saying, and you are picking up their emotions. In this particular piece of it, a lot of times we just have to stop talking. We have to really listen. Stop anticipating the point that the other person is about to say. Stop anticipating your response before they even say it. And this is important even as a leader, because we need to make sure that we're mindful of our own behavior, so that we can make sure that we're impacting our teams. Even if you are a leader in your church, or a leader in the community, or a leader on a board, this is truly important as well, because it's not just leader of a corporation, but any type of leader. This is huge. You have to be able to manage yourself, but more importantly, even manage those and be able to pick up those emotions of the people that are around you. And then the fourth piece of that is the relationship management. So now that you're able to manage your emotions in the moment, you're able to modify your behavior, to adjust your thoughts, your actions. You're able to pick up on their emotions and their perspectives. And now you're able to manage effectively the interactions and the relationship. This is especially huge. Now, if you are in a relationship, or not even just not a romantic, but if you are in a work relationship and this relationship doesn't matter to you, then you may not put in a whole lot of work, right? You may not put a whole lot of work into trying to manage your emotions. But if we have to work with people on teams, if we have to communicate with people, this whole process and managing their relationship it's huge, because we have to make sure that we don't damage that. Are we going to get along with everybody? Not all the time. It's not going to always be that, but we can effectively manage that relationship and manage those interactions. Prime example, there was some different things that were going on in a team, and I had to have a conversation with someone, and it could have gone left, but the fact that I had to continue to work with this person, I needed to make sure that I was managing my emotions. I knew what ticked me off. I knew what I wanted to say. I adjusted my actions. I was able to one of the things I was like, I kind of was able to pick up on the perspective, sort of, kind of, but I still had to manage that relationship. There were some things that when I say kind of, sort of picking up on these person's perspectives and emotions, these are one of those people that was kind of passive aggressive. So it was very difficult and challenging to pick that up, but I was still a man able to manage the relationship effectively, and also still work with that person, because that's something that was just we had to work together. So some of those things that we can do, some of the strategies that we can take when we are trying to manage the social awareness and the relationship management, watching your body language. I know a lot of times when we're in meetings, when we are bored or tired, we maybe do like this, or we do, just have those different body language that we don't know that we're giving off. And so we may want to watch that. Greeting people, a lot of times when you are greeting people by name, the reason that's important is that helps you connect with people. That helps you to build those relationships. Also, people watching. I love to people watch. When we used to travel all the time, I would sit in the airport and just watch people go by. Like it was just something that I like to do, right? I'd be like, wondering where are they going, and I wonder what they're doing. And then timing is everything. Making sure that that you are, a lot of times it's hard to kind of time those situations or time what's kind of going on, but timing is everything to make sure that you're managing those relationships, acknowledging the other person's feeling. When you are acknowledging that, it's like saying, hey, I understand you. I understand what it is that you're feeling. And giving feedback, direct and constructive. I personally love feedback. I definitely feel like it's helpful. Even if if I know this person doesn't care too much for me, I will take the feedback and be okay with that, because if this person is being honest, then maybe I'm coming off as a certain way, so I take that. Managing relationships too is, when you care, show it. And also enhance your natural communication style. So there's another communication thing that I do as well. So it's called the DISC. And when you understand how you communicate, then you can communicate effectively to other people that are not natural to your style. So when you can understand how you communicate, that's also a way to help you manage that relationship as well. So if you did your assessment, or if you have that, did you get the assessment?
Have it complete.
You did. All right. Okay. So what areas did you come out strong? What were your strongest areas?
So I scored the same in social awareness and
Okay.
self-management. I
Okay.
had a 36.
Okay.
And I would say, well, yeah, social awareness and self-management. Social skills 32 and self-awareness 27.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about this just a tad bit. So so for your strongest area, give an example of how you actually demonstrate your strength in your daily life or work. So you said your top one was the social awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Paper back up.
It was the social awareness and which one?
Self-management.
Okay. So you're
Okay.
okay. You got
Yeah,
it?
I think those are my strengths. I think solely because I'm a considerate person. I
Mhm.
think I'm always not trying to accommodate the
Uh-huh.
room, but I'm that person. If you need something, I can help. I'm not always thinking self-centered or so
Uh-huh.
much. I can tell when somebody's uncomfortable, getting upset, maybe about to fly off the handle, things
Right.
like that, because I'm more of an observer.
Uh-huh.
And I just think I regulate, myself well alone. So I pay a lot of attention to how people change their tones when they talk,
Yes.
just mannerisms, different things like that. So
Yes.
that one for me, I knew sort of that's my thing. So I
Yeah.
would fairly do okay there.
Okay.
Uh, I think where I'm not as strong. I think sometimes there's a good balance with self-awareness. I think some of the questions were, do you let external factors affect your mood? And see, right now, there a lot of times I don't. I'm like, I pray for my family, my friends, everybody's good.
Right.
If it's not in my nucleus, I'm
Yeah.
okay. Well, there's so much going on now, so many people affected, like you do feel
Mhm.
it. So that can go, it just depends. A lot of it depends, but I think sometimes that can fluctuate for me.
Yeah.
That's one of the
Yeah, and
one of
that's true because there are some things that we really don't have any control over, right? And it's really just kind of how we respond to it. And so when you don't have it in control over, I know for me, there are times when definitely if I can't control it, I have to like literally let it go. And I'm
mhm.
like you, is sometimes what if it doesn't really totally affect me, then it's just, just
Yeah.
hey, we'll get through it. It's going to be okay. I
Right.
promise. you just for my peace of mind, because I have been in certain situations and certain mindsets that were not so good. And
Mm,
I refuse to go back to those not so good areas, those not so good mindsets, those dark areas. Those are not cool, right? Those are not those areas that I'm like, oh yeah, I can linger there. No, ma'am, not at all.
right.
And so
Right.
and I, how we respond to that is huge. So how your weakest areas or your weakest domains affect you? Can you give an example how those? I think you said the self management is.
Yeah, because sometimes I can be too considerate. I want to help so much, then I'm over here not paying attention to what I need to be taken care
Yes,
of.
don't we
Sometimes
all?
sometimes I can get a little consumed with work, or it could be anything. And then there's that frustration of, shoot, I'm not paying attention to what I need to be focused on because I've made sure she's straight, he's straight, all of these things.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's a weakness, but it is something that I have to work to balance
Yeah,
because I want people that I care for, that, I work with. I want us all to be comfortable. I want us all to be, operating at our maximum capacity,
right,
etc.
right.
But I don't need to do it all.
Right.
you
And that's
know?
true. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And that's huge too, because I think as women, as mothers, as professionals, we tend to fall into those areas where we forget about maintaining our own mental health. We
Mhm.
forget about maintaining our own selves. But in reality, if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't be the best for everybody that's around us or everybody that's connected to us. We just can't do that.
Right.
And so when we're looking at how can we manage ourselves better, some of those things that I'm talking about, just kind of just taking a walk sometimes, or just spending that, making that time out for yourself, like purposely and intentionally, that can help out as well. So I totally get it. There's also sometimes that guilt factor that comes in. As
Mhm.
I've gotten older, I'm like, no, I'm not feeling guilty anymore. And when I'm like, that's it, no more guilt. I'm gonna let it go. And that has helped out so much. Just letting things go, letting go of the guilt, and that provides so much more peace and sanity for me. So I totally
Yeah.
understand.
Yep.
So, what are some of the things? So, when you talk, and I think we just kind of just discussed it a little bit, steps that we can take to strengthen ourselves or to strengthen in this area where it's not the most or not the highest. And when you do this, I think we just kind of talked about it too. How will this benefit you in your daily life or work? So what do you think about?
I mean, the number one thing that I think of is having compassion for myself. Like you were just saying, we want to do so much and don't feel the guilt. And that's a lot of times where I end up at. I'm like, I know I could do that better, or I could, tip volunteer for this or that. But what I'm doing, things I bring to the table, I need to feel like it's enough. And a lot of times it is. I just talk myself into being an overachiever sometimes.
Yeah,
But maybe just
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
You're right. But yeah, I think just having some compassion for myself, giving myself a break, taking care of myself, taking those days to make self-care a priority
Mhm.
would benefit my daily life and my work, because
Yeah.
I don't need to show up stressed and
Right.
overwhelmed because I haven't given myself a break, you know.
Right.
Then I
Right.
might not manage all that stuff as well.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that whole the stress thing, like, do what you can do within, because, and especially working from home now, it at first it was kind of like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? What's going on? And really had to disconnect and just say, like, when I'm off, I'm off. Because I also have like emails
Yeah.
on my phone. I have where I wanted to do work and wanted to kind of focus even more, but I had to say, okay, man, look, disconnect. Like, I'm not. It's okay. I'm off of work, even though I'm working from home, and that has been kind of like a discussion as well around the our workers, that people are still working at 7 o'clock at night, or 7 or 8 o'clock. Um, because they're at home. So if they're like, I'm not doing anything else, then I might as well answer some emails or whatever. But really disconnected, taking time out for ourselves can really benefit, how we show up. I think you mentioned I don't need to be showing up stressed, and that is so good because you can't focus. Can't be productive in that. So those are some good things to do. Absolutely. So one of the things that a practice thought that one of my good friends, he's Joe Gerstand, he is a D&I practitioner, diversity and inclusion, and he is just an awesome person. He's actually on my Facebook page, and just some of the work that he has done around the diversity and inclusion. He's one of the ones. He's a white male, but he has a tremendous story about diversity and how he had to change his thinking just around diversity and inclusion, just in his own personal life. But his practice thought is and he says, you are not responsible for your first thought, but you are responsible for your second thought and your first action. So, what do you think about that?
I like that.
Mhm.
I like that because a lot of us well, I'm not an impulsive person, but there are a lot of people that are, and they go with that first thought and have regrets later.
Right, exactly.
So I like the pause for thought and just definitely being reflective
Right.
before, you know, you make any action or even voice something.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and even when I've done this training before, I've had pushback because they're like, people like, no, you do control your thoughts. You're not you can control your first thought. Nah, sometimes you can't. Sometimes that first thought automatically comes in, and instead of just instead of stopping and thinking, we tend to act on that first thought instead of, let me slow down, let me think about what's going on again in the moment, and then the making sure that first action is the right action. And
Mhm.
so this takes time, it takes practice, but we do have the ability to grow in emotional intelligence, just because of personal experiences, because of time, because of our personal growth. So that is something that we can definitely increase on. So with that, that's actually our end of the session. Any comments, concerns, questions?
Well, I'll just say, I think the exercise, it makes you self-reflective.
Gotcha.
So when you look at these statements, if your numbers aren't where you want them to be,
Uh-huh.
all of these statements you can reflect on and think of what you can do different to get there.
Right.
Because I think this is a good exercise. The disc exercise activity, I've done that. I think that's amazing. It will definitely, help you identify your strengths so you
Right.
can just enhance them, in whatever
Absolutely.
setting. But I appreciate this because I love doing assessments, self-assessments, and sort of, just learning about the people I work with and their
Yeah.
personalities and different things like that.
Yes.
So
So I'm right along with you. I like doing assessments as well. Just learning more about me and learning, my skills and learning my, what I need to maybe maneuver, or what I need to change, or what I need to just continue to do. So I love those. I love the assessments. Even though they're not totally, it's not everything about you, but it does give you some insight on what your skills are, what your strengths are, those areas, what we call areas of opportunity, those weakness areas that you probably would like to develop. And so I love doing that as well. So awesome. Yes. Well, if there's nothing else, no questions, comments, concerns, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. And for those who would like to connect with me on any type of social media platforms, I'm on Facebook under Lawana Harris. I'm on Instagram as well as I am Lawana Michelle. I'm on Twitter. I don't use Twitter a whole lot, but I'm still on there. I'm also on YouTube under Lawana Michelle. And so these are just ways to get in contact with me in all, like I said, all social media platforms. Oh, I'm also on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn as well under Lawana Harris. And I have a website, lawanamichelle.com. If you would like any type of customized training, any type of training for your environment, your job, your place of your, where you are, where you're working, where you're leading, for yourself personally, definitely can hook you up. All right. So thank you for showing up. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and have a great evening.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. You just can't stop by the office and say hi. Who's your friend? Huh?